Welcome to another edition of our video podcast developed to educate Latino parents and to help them learn about resources in the community to help their families and their children and hopefully support their children in pursuing an education. With us today is Deputy Marilyn Padron, who works at an interesting community resource, I would define. But I will ask her to explain us what her office does and what is her role within that office. So welcome, Deputy Padron. Good to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Tell us about this office. We already heard about some of that from from Deputy
Cuevas.
Thank you. And I believe that you do a terrific job.
Like I'm sure Deputy Cuevas probably explained, that we have an office that is funded through the Department of Children and Families for Cuban and Haitian refugees, but we have an office where everyone speaks Spanish, myself and Deputy Cuevas, and we also have a community service officer. Three of us are Spanish speaking, and we assist immigrants, refugees with any type of issues, whether they're a victim of a crime, maybe there's if they have information on, getting driver's licenses. A lot of times they have issues that are not law enforcement related, but perhaps they need a social service agency. So we have contacts and a relationship with different other governmental agencies, as well as non-governmental agencies or non-for-profit. So if they come in with a situation that perhaps it's not law enforcement related, we can refer them to somebody who can help them.
I see. Now, that's very similar to what the Deputy Cuevas was saying, that in a sense your office is an office of resources, the community resource.
Absolutely. Well, our main focus is outreach. The second part of our job is, other than having the substations, we do education. We educate refugees when they come from Cuban and Haitian countries. For example, when they come in, the laws are very different. Police is very different in their countries. Many of them do not trust law enforcement. So the main thing is for them to be comfortable with law enforcement, not to be scared to come to us or to call us when they need help. Many don't know how to call for help when they come here. So we go to a lot of educational. We go to churches. We go to different events. We go to a lot of schools where the refugees go to learn English, and so we talk to them about various topics such as domestic violence. For example, in the country of Cuba, domestic violence, law enforcement really doesn't do anything. They consider that a family issue. Obviously, here in the United States, we look at it very differently. So we talk to them about domestic violence. We talk to them about driving under the influence, because many of them are going to become future drivers. We talk to them about the traffic laws. It's very different. When an officer stops you, what are you supposed to do? What are you supposed to say? So we talk to them about all those different type of topics, so that when they come here, they don't get themselves into trouble because they didn't know what the laws were. And also, obviously, to give us the information, give them an opportunity to then ask us questions as well, and make them feel comfortable with us, and we try to answer as many questions and try to help them out in that.
And I think if I understand correctly, ignorance doesn't excuse you from committing a potential offense or violation of the law.
Right, absolutely. And we've actually done classes with people who have just have only been into the country for 2 days or a week. So they don't know anything. And so our main thing is kind of do like a little orientation, welcome them into the United States, into Florida, to Tampa, and just giving them a little bit of brief information, let them know if they have any questions in the future, something they don't understand or an issue, to call us.
Now, as a deputy involved in this work, any stories of success that you can share with us?
We have a lot of times we get, for example, I've helped people that have come to my office and they needed some assistance in getting a driver's license. So I have forwarded them to the information on getting a driver's license. Or somebody's had an issue. For example, I had a Cuban immigrant that had an issue with his driver's license. There was a mistake made by his insurance company. He didn't speak any English, and that caused him to have his driver's license suspended. Not his error, not his fault, but the fault of the other person. So, he came to my office and he didn't speak any English, he didn't know who to call, and, I was able to contact the right people, put him to the right direction, and he was able to get his license reinstated. And he was, the main breadwinner in the family, and so he needed, obviously, the driver's license in order to go to work. and provide food for his family. So that's, that's one. But we get a few success stories when people come in, and that's very rewarding. When at the end you get to see the result, and people become self-sufficient.
That's the idea, that they can adapt and thrive and succeed in their new country.
Exactly.
Very good. Now, several times parents ask me, how can they find out if their children is getting in troubles and all that? And I always ponder in my mind, wonder, what can be a preventative strategy? What could parents look for to understand, if there is a potential risk for their children?
And I know Deputy Cuevas touched on this before as far as involvement, but I also find not just involvement in what the kids do activities, but be involved in who their friends are. A lot of times parents, they maybe know their child's friends by their first name, but if your child goes to somebody's house, go over to that person's house, see who the parents are, see what kind of family it is, see where your child is going. I've had situations when I worked the patrol where, they had a mother had her teenage daughter who ran away. And when I asked her information, well, where do you think she could have gone? Well, she gave me, she has a friend named, gave me the friend's name, but didn't know where this person lived, didn't know their last name. Well, she changes friends a lot. Well, those are some signs that you need to look when your child is changing friends, going from one friend to another, not really keeping a stable group of friends. That could be an issue. But know where your kids are going, know who their friends are, know who your friends' parents are and their families. If you're going to let your child go to a friend's house, don't you want to know what kind of house they're going to and what kind of people they're around? I always tell, look at your children's schoolwork, their book bags, their bedrooms. A lot of times kids like to write notes. They like to write notes in class, and so a lot of times you find out what's going on in your child's life by what they're communicating. Now, of course, we're in the age of technology. A lot of kids have cell phones. Look at your children's text messages. Look how many they send. Parents, there's a way that parents can go look on their phone bill and find out how many text messages their child is sending. If you can see on the phone bill the child sent 100 text messages during school hours or 100 text messages at 11 o'clock at night, you need to find out why are you doing this. And a lot of times, same thing with the computer. You have MySpace, you have Facebook, you have all these things that are out there where kids communicate with other kids. And a lot of times the parents don't know the passwords. They've never seen their child's MySpace page. And there's a lot of stuff that can be going on there that parents don't know about because they don't, that's their private property. Well, you're their parent. They live under your roof,
How interesting what you just said, because many parents will say that, I don't want my child to believe that I'm snooping through their things. I don't want to. What would you say to a parent who argues?
The children aren't going to like it, but if you explain to them, listen, I'm doing this for your good to make sure that you're safe. Because what we try to explain, especially when it goes on to the internet and MySpace, we try to tell kids, you don't know if you're speaking to somebody, a stranger, you don't know who that person is. He may say, or she may, because you don't know who's on the other end of that computer. Could be a man, could be a woman, you don't know. They may portray themselves as a 15-year-old girl, but in reality, maybe a 50-year-old man. You don't know. And those are a lot of dangers. And explain to the kids, I'm doing this for your well-being. I'm doing this to make sure that you are safe. And they may be upset, but when they get older, just like the rest, when we were kids, our parents did things that we didn't necessarily like. And now that we're adults, we're happy, we're glad that they did those things. So unfortunately, kids probably aren't going to be happy, but there's things that parents need to do to really, stay involved and see and monitor your child's behavior. If you see that your child's behavior is always one of those happy-go-lucky, always having a good time, and all of a sudden, you may see that maybe they're sad, they're upset. Their grades, they were an A student and now they're a C or a D student. Obviously, there's something going on there, and the things that you need to look into it and be very active at school. Schools have activities, they have conference days, they have orientations, they have teacher-parent days. Go to those events, meet the child's teachers, have a one-on-one communication with your child's teacher so that did they do their homework, did they not do their homework? And there's a lot of things parents, they go to work, they get tired, they come home. And a lot of times, they're tired. They assume that their child's going to do the right things, but that's not always the case.
Very true. Very true. Typically, Patrona, was there something else that I should have asked you and I didn't?
No, basically, like I said, and I find just from working, and I actually worked in a middle school for almost 5 years, as our middle schools here in Tampa have, and high schools have police officers that work in. And usually one of the main things I always found out is that when children have problems, is that their parents had no idea. They had no idea what was going on in their child's life. A lot of times I heard from teachers that the parents weren't involved. They would call the house and the parent wasn't there, wouldn't return phone calls. So the main thing is parent involvement in every aspect of the child's life. You know, a lot of times we find out too, and I tell if you've got the extra time, go learn English. Take an English class. A lot of times there's free resources through churches or through school or the school board that you can take free English classes, because sometimes I find that parents have a difficulty in helping the children with their homework because they don't understand the language. And a lot of the times the children have to serve as the parent's interpreter. So, I mean, so it'd be good for, if they get the opportunity in between their busy schedules, to maybe take a few English classes, maybe learn just kind of enough that at least they understand if the child brings a letter home from a teacher or something, they can at least help them out. So that is good too. Not only that, it reinforces the child, look, mom and dad are going to school, mom and dad are learning, and therefore if you serve as that type of example, then the child says, well, you know, mom and dad are going to school, maybe I need to go to school too.
How true. Now, of course, we also need to realize that you are a deputy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so you are a successful Latina. So I have two questions about that. One is, what helped you to become a successful, you know, deputy, and also, you know, you are a female deputy.
Well, my education, my parents were very, very big, strong on education. My parents are immigrants from Cuba,
Mm-hmm.
and they came here in 1965. Basically, they did not know the language, and literally the clothes on their back and nothing else. And so they've always stressed hard work. Nobody's going to give you any. You have to, if you want something, you have to work hard and get it for yourself. And they've always encouraged for us to go to school and get an education, which is actually what I did. I went to school. I actually graduated from the University of South Florida. And so I'm an alumni. And actually my last semester of University of South Florida, I decided I did an internship while I was here with the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office. And I really liked the work that they were doing. I thought, you know, I could do this. And my parents supported me, even though I was a female who wanted to get into law enforcement. And many people need to know that, you know, even though in many countries, Latin American countries, the culture is that, you know, women aren't in the military, women aren't police officers, or women aren't in those type of positions. Here, as a female, you can do anything you want. You can be a police officer. There's female firefighters, females in the military. There's doctors, lawyers. We have female judges. So, as a female, really, you can do absolutely anything that you want in this country, and people really need to take advantage of that. But, you know, graduated from college and went to the police academy, and right now I'm going on 12 years as a police officer.
12 years?
Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful. Now, of course, you not only speak about the successful Latina professional, but also the successful Latina professional who needed to achieve an education in order to pursue, you know, her career.
Absolutely.
So my question to you is, what would you say to people who argue that Latinos and Latinas don't care about education, or their parents don't care about education?
I think that's a myth. I think sometimes it's a misunderstanding. I think, first of all, most Latinos that come here to the United States from other countries, their reason is to come for a better life for themselves and better life for their children. And I think through education, I think is the way to go. I think, you know, if you look at any type of you know, major company or major thing, you're going to find there's a lot of Latinos that are in the helm of those positions. So, and I think that comes a lot of, you know, immigrants, not necessarily Latinos born here in the United States, but a lot of those positions are for Latinos that come from other countries. But I think that's definitely a misconception. I think education, just from those Latino parents that I have come in contact with my work, their main thing is I came here to give my child a better life.
Thank you. You heard it here, and I think we not only learned about the services provided by the deputies to the Cuban and Haitian community, but also as bilingual deputies, they help in their client's language, and in addition to that, they speak to the fact that we can achieve an education and be successful professionals. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.